Okay, today we'll be discussing about Streamstats and Eventstats command in Splunk in very detail. Okay, so before I start discussing on them, today we'll be mainly working on three different data set. Okay, data 1, data and data 2. Okay, so first I will be explaining the data part. This is this file data.txt. Then whenever I will be switching to new data set, right, I will be explaining the data set as well. Okay, so if I just show you the data, so basically it is a very simplistic data where we have some employee details. Okay, their employee number, name, their job, manager ID, and their hire date, salary, and the department number. Okay, so very simplistic data set, and I have basically indexed these three data files into my main index over here. Okay, into three different source. Now as we'll be discussing the data.txt first, so I'll be selecting that one, and let me table this data. So what I'll do is I'll copy this column names from here. Okay, so we have this data. Now first we'll talk about Streamstats, and Eventstats has only single use case. So while discussing the first query, right, I will be discussing the Eventstats as well. Okay, so the first requirement is we need to find out all the employee details over here like this. Okay, along with the average salary for each and every department. Okay, that means for the first row, if you see it over here, this guy belongs to department number 10, right? So this row should also have another field which will tell us the average salary of department number 10. Similarly for department number 30, 20, similar way it should display the data. Okay, so now let me show you the very basic way how Streamstats works. Okay, so if I just write, okay, so if I just tell you, like, Streamstats is basically always work on a running statistics. That means whatever statistical functions you will be using, it will be calculating the running version of it. If you are counting it, it will be counting the running total. If you are summing it up, similar way. Okay, so if I just, now our aim is to find the average salary department wise, right? So if I just write Streamstats, okay, average, this is the average function. Now Streamstats supports all the statistical functions, stats function support. Okay, so when we will be discussing the stats function in detail, right, I will be giving more insight on what are the different kinds of statistical functions we can use in Splunk. Okay, so in this video I'll be mainly using some of the statistical functions. Okay, so one of them is average. So average salary, right, as avg underscore sal. Okay, if I just write this one, this will definitely not serve our purpose, but let us see this one. This is the very basic stuff. Okay, so now if you see it over here, so I have written average salary as average sal. So this is creating a new column called average underscore sal, right? Now how it is calculating that one, if you see the first row is this salary, right, 2450. It do not have any other previous row. So for when it encounters the first row, for its the average salary is 2450 itself, because it is dividing 2450 by 1. Okay, now when it is moving to the second row, right, so it is having now two salaries. That's why it is calling, I am calling it as a running total or running average over here in this sense. Now if I just open my calculator, okay, so if I just average it up, 2450 plus 950. 950 is the second row salary value, right, over here. Okay, so if I just divide it by 2, you will get 1700. That is what it is doing it over here. Okay, it's a always running total. Okay, now if you see it over here, we want the average department wise, not the whole average. What currently it is doing it, is it is always running the average for all the values, right? Whatever value it is getting, it is adding them up, and how many rows it is encountering, it is dividing by that one, right? So we do not want that. We want for department number 10, what is the average salary? It should be same for all the rows where department number 10 comes up, right? So in that case, what I need to do is we need to use a by clause, by dptno, right? So if I do this one, now let us see what's going on over there. Okay, so now for department number 10, first row as it is, it came. Now when it switched to department number 30 over here, it starts again because of this by clause, right? It's a different department number, that's why it is starting again with 950. It encounters another department 30 over here, that's why it is adding 950 plus 1500 divided by 2, 1225. Okay, again it is getting department number 10 over here. Now it remembers previously it has a department number 10 which have a salary value of 2450. Now how it is calculating? It is adding 2450 with the second value 1300 divided by 2, 1875. So this is how it is calculating. It is remembering the previous value it encounters because of this by clause. It is remembering that, and accordingly it is calculating, right? So now if you see for the department number 10, what will be the average salary over here? Because if I just sort by department number over here, I'll be explaining in more way. So this is the 3 department number 10 values we have in our data, right? So these values are 2450, 1300, 5000. Let us add them out. 2450 plus 1300 plus 5000, right? So if I divide it by 3, so I'll get 2916.66. That's this value over here, right? So that because of this running total for all the department number 10, it is not giving me the same value. Only the last value comes up, it is actual average of department number 10 because of this running average it is calculating. So if you want the actual average of department 10, you need to take the last value of it over here, right? So that's why Eventstats coming into picture here. Okay, so what I need to do, so Eventstats works in very similar way of Streamstats and stats. Okay, so only difference is Streamstats always work in a running way, right? Running statistics way. Eventstats calculates the statistics on the fly and add it to each and every event. So if I just write event stats, okay, last of average underscore sal, okay, as let's say average underscore sal 1. I just wanted to show you the difference it makes. Okay, by dpt number again. Okay, so let us see what is the value of average underscore sal 1. Okay, so now if you see it over here, for department number 10, it is choosing this 2916 everywhere, wherever. Let me sort it out, it will be easier to explain. Now if you see for department number 10, it is choosing the last value always. So that is the actual average I wanted to show you. That is our requirement, right? We started with, we need to show the average salary for each and every department. Similarly for 20, for 30, similar way it happens. Okay, so if I just remove this, so if I just say fields minus average sal, okay, so this is our final output. We have it over here, right? So we have displayed all the employees with their details and with their department wise average salary. Okay, so this is one of the use case in Streamstats and Eventstats, right? So let me go back over here. Okay, so we understood the first step. Let me go over here. Okay, so as I said, whenever it is calculating the average over here, right? So whenever it is switching from 10 to 30 because of this by clause, it is starting again. But whenever it is encountering 10 again, it is remembering the previous 10 over here, right? So this is one behavior, you can change it. Okay, so for that we will move to a new input called reset on change. So basically let me do that one. We will see how it's behaving. If I say reset on change equals to true, by default it is false. Okay, now let us see how the behavior is changing over there. Okay, so now it got 10 first, it calculated 2450, right? It moved to 30 because of this by clause, it is starting again, right? 30 it is calculating. Now when it got 10 again, it forgets the previous 10. If you see it over here, okay, it's starting with 1300 again, correct? Because of this reset on change equals to true. Okay, now what scenario we need this one? So for that we will move to our second data set. Okay, so let me describe that data set. Now over here, let's say we have 4 to 5 sensors in our system which is continuously sending the data to us. Okay, when it is sending 1, that means the sensor is up and running. When it is sending 0, that means the sensor is not working somewhere. Okay, that means it is either down or not working something. Now similar kind of data set you can think about is user login, right? When user logs successfully logged in, it may send an event with value of 1, right? If it is failed to log in, it may send a event with value 0, right? Now our requirement over here is to, if a particular sensor is not sending me data, that means it is sending 0 continuously for 4 or more times, okay, in last 4 minutes, I will be alerting that. That means I need to look into it, what's going on to that sensor. Okay, so for that, let us go back to our second source. Source equals to data 1. Okay, so similar way I'll just table it, copy table. Okay, so now we have to identify it. For an example, if you see it, sensor 2, right? If you see it 0000, that means, okay, if I just sort by underscore time over here, it will be more visible by underscore time. Okay, so now from 756 to 806, each and every minute, basically we have received one event. Now if you see for sensor 2, from 801 to 804, continuously 4 times it has sent 0. That means something going on over there during that time. Similarly for sensor 4, from 758 to 801, it continues to send 4 zeros over here, right? So we need to alert this kind of event over here. Now we'll be using Streamstats to identify that one. Now our requirement is to find the number of times, right? First, how many times that sensor has sent us 0, right? That means the statistical function will be using it count, right? We'll talk about the time window over here as well, okay? Because there is another requirement that in last 4 minutes only, it has to count that how many times it has sent. So we'll first implement the easiest part, then we'll implement the more complex part. So we'll say stream stats, our statistical function will be count as, let's say for sensor 1, I'll be counting count of sensor 1. Okay, now over here if you see it, there is a good catch. Like suppose let's just talk about sensor 2 over here. Okay, so first it is finding it 0. Whenever it is from 0 to it is switching to 1, that means the sensor is up, right? So I should not count this 0 whenever I'm counting the next 0 over here. Yeah, I think you are getting where I am where I'm going to, right? So whenever from 1 to 0 it is switching, if next 4 zeros are coming, then only I'll be counting. Otherwise, after this 0 again this 1 coming, I'll be forgetting this 0, right? So this reset on change will now come into picture. Okay. So I'll say reset on change equals to true. Okay, so if I don't do that, if I just say count of sensor 1, let's talk about sensor 2 itself, because it is a good example. By sensor 2, because by this 0 or 1 value only I have to count, right? So sensor 2. So if I just don't give reset on change, what is happening? If you see it over here, first of 0 the count is 1, right? First 0 came. Now when 2 ones came, 1 and 2, as it is cumulative, the second value 2 is coming over here. Now when the second 0 is coming up, it is counting as 2 over here. Ideally it should count as 1, right? Because I already have 1 before that. I should not count this 0. So for that I'll say reset on change equals to true, right? So if I see till this one, now let us see what is happening. 0 counted once, 2 once, it's counted 1 and 2. When it's encountering 0, it is forgetting that previously it is 0 again, because it is starting from, it has to start from fresh. That's what is counting as 1, right? Again it got 1, it forgot that it's already counted 2. Again it's starting as 1, right? Now for this 4 0, if you see 1 2 3 4 continuously it is counting, right? I'll be taking the most highest value because it's running total. Now similarly for other sensors also we'll be doing the same. So I'll say sensor 1, Control Z, sensor 1, then we have our sensor 3, then we have our sensor 4, right? Similar way we will be counting for them all. Now it is just matter of adding a condition to for that alerting purpose, right? So I will be saying where my sensor 1 equals to 0, because we only bother about when it is sending 0, that's why I'm giving 0, and this count of sensor 1 greater than equals to 4, because I am only bothered about this 4th count, right? Whenever it has generated the count 4, that then only I'll be bothering about. And our use case is saying when it is generating zeros 4 or more times, that's why I'm giving greater than equals to, right? So this is one of my condition, or this is for sensor 1. Similarly for sensor 2 also same condition, sensor 2, or sensor 3 also same condition, or sensor 4 also same condition, right? So whenever among these 4 sensors, whenever I am generating 4, I am alerting that one. So by seeing this result set, at least we can see for sensor 2 and sensor 4 something is going on, because it has generated this 4 over here. So we can take action on this. You can further simplify these queries as well. So I'm not going to that level. I just wanted to show you like how this reset on change works over here. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So let me just see. Okay, time window. Now there was another clause in our statement where we are saying in the last 4 minutes it has to generate 4 zeros, right? So to discuss the time window over here, okay, what I'll do is I'll take a very simplistic example. For that, what I'll do is I will remove everything over here, okay, only keep the sensor 1, okay, sensor 1 code. So we have all sensors and the count of sensor 1. So I'll just table it, table sensor 1 and count of sensor 1. Okay, so this is our starting point. We'll take underscore time as well. Okay, so now we will see how to apply the time window over here. So in Streamstats, whenever you want to mention the time, right, you need to have an input called time underscore window. Okay, so the input name is time underscore window. So to understand time window, let me give you 2 minutes over here. Okay, then we'll be implementing our use case of 4 minutes. Okay, so let's see how it is working so that we'll get a fair idea. Now to compare it, what I'll do is over here I'll add another Streamstat statement without the time. Okay, so that we can compare it. Okay, sorry, I think you are getting some background noise because dogs are barking outside. Okay, so I'll give it is 1 in over here. So let us run it. Okay, I'll be adding to this table as well this particular count. Okay, and we'll see the difference now. Now you see over here the count difference. Okay, so whenever as our reset on change equals to true, right? So that means whenever I am moving from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, I will be starting fresh, right? So to understand this time window, we will be working with these 4 ones over here. Okay, so this is the output with time window and this is the output without the time window, right? So whenever it is without the time window, for this 4 1 it is counting as normal, right? 1 2 3 4, right? Now see what is happening when we are implementing the time window over here. Now our time window is 2 minutes. That means with this current row, it will go back to maximum of 2 minutes and see what is the count over here. That's why for first row, it is starting with 1 as usual. When it is moving to the second one, as this is the 2 minutes window, right? That's why it is counting 2, right? When it is moving to the third one, right? It is counting 2 because it is this first one, it is outside of its time window. That it is only getting the second and third one. That's why it is counting 2. Similarly, for the fourth one, it is getting third and fourth one only because of this time window, right? We have only 1 minute of window over here for each and every event, right? So it is counting 2 again. So this is how the time window works, and it is always including the current row. Okay. Now, if you don't want to include the current row, there is another option in Streamstats called window. Okay, not the window, it is the current one. Okay, so if I say current equals to true or false, okay, so similar way I will be implementing this current in another one. Let's say we have time window over here. Okay, so we can give current equals to false. Okay, so sensor, let's say key by sensor 1, so I'll just include this guy as well. Cannot set current using a time window. Okay, so for time window we cannot set current, so there is another clause called window. So let us discuss that one first, then we'll be discussing the current one. Okay, so okay, so let me move that. Yeah, so we understood what time window is. Okay, now there is another thing called window over here. Okay, so what window means, as time window is going by time underscore time, basically window is going by the number of records. Okay, so if I just instead of time window, so for our use case our time window will be 4 minutes. I'm not implementing that, it will be easier to understand. Okay, so if I just give window over here, I'll be removing time window for now so that you can understand what's going on over there. So if I give window equals to 2, Okay, so let's see how it is working. It should work in a similar fashion because my time window is always working on 2 rows, last 2 rows, right? So similarly Windows is working on last 2 rows only, right? That's why 1 2 2 2 and 1 2 3 4 without window clause, right? Because with current row it is always going by the previous row because it can only work on 2 rows at a time, the current row and the previous row, right? Now if you don't want the current row to be considered, then there is a clause called current. Okay, current equals to false. Here you can mention the current equals to false. So let us do that one now. Okay, so here I will be removing the current equals to false. So we have only window, we have window plus current equals to false. So I'll say give it a name sensor F. Okay, and I will be including that one in a table. Okay, so now let us see what's happening. So this is sensor 1 is with my window, which is 1 2 2 2, as my window is 2, right? Now when I am mentioning current equals to false, right? So what is happening for this 4 1? Let us see. For the first one, right, as it is a first row and it should not consider the current row, that's why it is starting with 0. If you see, for other cases it is always starting with 1, right? Now when it is moving to the second one, right, my window is 2, that means I am still inside my window and I should not consider my current row. That means how many ones I will be counting? Only 1. That's why this 1 over here. Okay, similarly when it is moving to the third one, okay, my window is second and third one, right, over here, and I should not consider this one over here, correct? Okay, so that means except if you see, if it is 2, right? Because if you just forget the current row, okay, over here I think I mentioned it's little bit differently over here when I was discussing one. The window will be except the current row, okay, not the including the current row. So that means whenever I am moving to the third one, my window is these 2 ones, the previous 2 rows over here, right? So when my current equals to false is not there, that means this is the case, my window is current row and the previous row. When I am giving the current equals to false, my window is previous row and row previous to that one. That's why for the first one there is no 2 previous rows, that's why 0. For the second one there is only 1 previous row, that's why 1. For the third one there are 2 previous rows, that's why 2. For the fourth one there are 2 ones as well in 2 previous rows, that's why 2 again. Okay, so this is how the current input works for Streamstats, right? So current, and as we already seen, current cannot work with time window, it will be working on window itself. Okay, now we can see, right, when we are using reset on change, it is resetting the window as well, right? Because it is not only resetting the current value, it is resetting the window as well as time window over here. Okay, so now there is another input called global. Okay, so to discuss that, what we will do, we will take a simple example over here. Okay, global input we use generally with window input. Okay, so to get that, I'll just remove these two so that we can start fresh. Okay, then we'll move to the complex part of it. Don't worry about it when we'll be discussing the data 3, right? The data 2, basically the third data file. We will be giving an example of this current one again. Okay, so we have currently our sensor 1 count, sensor 1 values and its count, right, with window equals to 2. That's why for these 4 ones, right, it is 1 2 2 2 is coming up, right? And as I have not mentioned current equals to false, that means it is the window is always current row and the previous row always. Okay, so now if I just mention global equals to, generally with Windows, global equals to false always. Okay, so now if I mention, let us see how global equals to true works. Okay, so even I'll remove this too. Let's give a very easy example of global. We'll be removing all this clutter and we'll just work on this Windows equals to 2. Okay, so let us analyze this one first before we apply the global one. Okay, so what is currently doing, as we have a by clause, right? So that means whenever I am moving from 1 to 0, that means it is remembering that whenever we already calculated 1, right? And as we have also window equals to 2, so it will only consider the current row and the previous row for counting purpose, right? That means for first row it is 1, second row these two ones will be counted, that's why 2. For third row these two 1 will be counted, that's why 2. When it's moving to 0, it is starting again with 1 because of this by clause, right? Now when it is moving to 1, it remembers, correct, right, whether we have previously encountered 1 or not, but as this particular 1 is already outside the window because it is the third element from here, so that means it is again counting as a 1. Similarly for 1 plus 1, this 2, this 2 1 again 2, this 2 1 again 2, right? Now we will write the global one. Okay, so in one query we will write global equals to false. Okay, so this is, you will find 99% scenario with window you will find global equals to false, and we will also write another query with global equals to true. I'll show you why. Okay, I'll give it as a name as 1n, okay, comma 1n. Now let us see. So if you see it over here, the sensor 1 currently, right? So our window is 2 and global is false. That means this window will be applicable for each and every sensor value. Okay, that means as in by clause we have sensor 1, that means this window will be applicable for each and every values. That's why if you see it over here, it is starting with 1, right? When it is moving to the second one, as it is within this window, that's why 2. Similarly for third one within this window, that's why 2, right? So my window is applying on the sensor values. When it is moving to 0, again it is starting with 1. My window is getting reset, right? When it is moving to this guy over here, so that means it is now ignoring this 0 basically, because my window is applicable to 1. That means this event, the window will be this event plus this event, right? Because my window is now sensor value specific. Each and every sensor value list will have their own window. That's why it is counting 2 over here. Okay, it is not counting the previous row, it is counting the previous row where we have 1. Okay, so that is the global equals to false. Now if I just move to global equals to true over here, okay, so that means it will be always counting the previous row as well. That's why it is counting as 1 over here. Okay, previous row we have 0. That means because of this sensor by clause, it did not find any value previously, that's why it is counting as 1 over here. So that's the basic difference between global equals to true and global equals to false. When you are mentioning global equals to true, it does not go by the by clause. That means it is applying the window globally. That's why it is always find the previous row as a includes previous row as a window. When you are mentioning global equals to false, it is finding the previous row which has same value inside the window. It ignores the rows which has different values because those belongs to separate window over here. Okay, hopefully I am not confusing you guys. Okay, so to get an example of how this window and this global and the current works, okay, so we will go back to our third data set. Okay, so the data set name is data 2. Okay, I think data 2. So it is based on the first data set where we have employee details. What I have done it over here for these two employees, Smith and Allen, I have included another 2 rows over here, 2 events over here. Okay, this is, if you see it, for Smith the current salary is for the month of April, right? So I have given another salary for month of February. That means his salary revision happened. Similarly for Allen, the current salary is for month of February. I have given another salary for month of January. Okay, so our intention is to, over here for these 2 employees, I need to display the previous salary as well. Okay, so similarly I will be taking this as a table. Okay, so our intention is to only look for these 2 guys over here, so only Smith and Allen. So I'll do one thing, I'll say search, come on, somehow it is not one to search name in. Okay, I'll just copy this guy Smith, and I'll copy this guy as well, Allen. Okay, so let us see whether it is doing it or not. Yeah, it is doing it. So I will be just order by, so sort underscore time, as I have indexed these guys with higher date itself, so it will be sorting by higher date only. If you see January, February, and then April, right? So now for Smith I will be displaying the previous salary, and for Allen also I will be displaying the previous salary. So for Smith the previous salary is $500, for Allen the previous salary is $1,000, right? So we'll say stream stats, somehow it is stream stats. Okay, now what I need, the last salary, our function, our stat function will be the last of cell, correct, as previous cell. Okay, our by clause will be employee name, right? Now for Smith, right, the current value is 800. That means I have to give the previous row value. That's why our window will be 1 and our current will be false, correct? So if I just run this guy over here, if you see for Smith, for this records, that means the previous salary records, there is no previous salary here in our data. That's why it is giving us blank. But for second salary, the revised salary, it is giving us the previous salary as 500. Similarly for Allen as well. So this is how the window and the current use case can be think of it. Okay, so hopefully this is useful for you guys. Okay, in next few videos we'll be talking about more complex Splunk commands. Okay, see you in next video.